may have heard of him, the late Ahmos Zu-Bolton. He taught at the University of Missouri. He was a well-known poet and a very significant writer during the Black arts movement. In the process of putting his estate together, and I'm doing a tour around the country at different universities, talking about his life and his work. I flew in today from Houston. I was at the University of Houston, and I spoke yesterday. And I'm going to share one of his poems. I consider this his signature poem. I read this poem the very first day that I met him, and he handed it to me and wanted my opinion. I expressed to him that it should be his signature poem, even though I hadn't read any of his other work. And I also should share with you that Ahmos was a Southerner. He was born in Mississippi. So a lot of his work reflect that demographic. So I'm going to read The Family Tree. This old oak tree was born during slavery times, just like my grandmother's mother. This old oak knew my grandmother's life from glorious birth to jubilation, sad death, from life to afterlife. Through good times and hard times, through richer and poor, and church and 18 children, and a love big enough to smother them all. This old oak knew grandchildren and nieces and snotty-nosed nephews and strange children who just seemed to drop by the house and stay. We all swung from the branches of that old oak tree and flew free for a moment through aeronautical Louisiana airspace and landed in Grandma's bosom. Old tree, old oak, where we plotted our first protest march. We gonna meet at the tree, Russell told me, pass it on. We gonna meet at the tree, I told Carl Ray, pass it on and on. 13 teenagers planning to change the world. 13 young black men caught up in the fire of their times. Pass it on, said Bully Ali, and the only grown-up present was that old oak tree. Old oak, old landmark tree, giving us cool shade in the summer of our public revolutions, giving us roots for our private revelations. This old tree is my grandmother's burial ground, an oaken tombstone reaching for sky. I built my first treehouse in that old oak, stole my first kiss, called my name in the bark of that tree, and it faded with sun and rain and years transformed from colored to Negro to black, African-American years that this road before us baptized us with history's shadows and family stories. So when the white man came asking, no, demanding that Grandma cut down her tree because it interfered with their telephone wires, told her to cut down our playground, what Blackjack called our Watusi nest of Shango. I never knew what that meant until I got my first taste of mojo in that treehouse. Demanded that Grandma cut down our totem pole street tree, our family tree, cut off a piece of black children growing up, chop off our history. Grandma looked them up and down. We all stood on the porch, raised a fist in our pockets and 2-3 tornadoes on our breath. My quivering lips wanted to holler, My jungle blood was in a fever. The earthquake in my heart wasn't masquerading. Not this day, not with grandma out there, not when she got her dentures in and standing there looking them young white fools up and down. But just when we were gonna attack them crackers, my grandma, who done cleaned more white folks' kitchen than you can shake a stick at, grandma who wet nursed their young'uns, grandma who knew all the ghosts in their closets, grandma puckered up her lips and spit a big wad of snuff juice at their feet. The white men looked at their shoes and then at grandma. She smiled, a sad smile, and quietly said, "No." The words must have echoed and thundered in their ears, because what little color they had drained from their faces. "Now, Alice," one of them said with yesteryears on his tongue, "Alice, it's the law, and you knows you gotta obey it." With that, I screamed, "Don't you talk to my grandma that way, and don't you call her by her familiar name." And I started off the porch till Russell grabbed me by the arm and Robert Earl had me by the leg. Grandma turned and looked at me and smiled again. "Hush, Junior," she said. "Be still. Mr. James here didn't mean no harm. He knows me. Knows that when I says something, I means it." And then she turned back to the white men. "Now, you all just run along now. Go tell your boss that this tree was here long before them telephone wires. This here tree was born during slavery times. This tree grew tall during Reconstruction, stood tall as white men in white sheets rode by with blood on their lips and evil in their pants. This tree endured hurricanes and long summer heat waves. It babysat my children, locked its roots deep down in this black earth and endured. So yes, sir, Mr. James, sir, this tree was born during slavery times, but it's free now. And as long as it's standing on my land, it can shake its leaves and spread its wings any way it damn well please. Now, go tell that Miss Alice Marie Pittman McGee Taylor says to pass it on, pass it on, pass it on, and on, and on."
Whoa!